Thank you to everybody who served, everybody who's in here. As always, from one veteran to another, thank you for your service. Appreciate you guys being in here. But this is the time to ask. Share it with a battle buddy. Send it out to somebody that you know that literally, it like has either been, you hear them once in a while and they're saying, hey, I got to go see Veterans Affairs, or you asking them to go or whatever. Here's an easy peasy way to just kind of not even be so personal. I have to leave the house to be able to answer a few questions and get where you needed to go. So without further ado, I'm going to send you over to Leland, and that is how we're going to get this started, man. Sorry for my long intro and all my tech issues, but I'm sending it over to you, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing well, doing well. First and foremost, thank you everyone for allowing me into your space. Um, so the goal today is to provide an overview of our programs and services. And when I say our, Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs programs and services. And so although this is Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs, there is a state VA for every state out there. And so just like there's a federal VA, there's a state VA as well. And so I know that some of these programs are not going to be familiar with to you. You're not going to have some of these programs in your state, but maybe it's something that you hear that catches your attention that maybe you can bring back to your state. And just to be able to make them aware of other programs and services that may be able to benefit the veterans of that state. So, keep your ear to some of the programs and services. Maybe you have some of those, maybe you don't. But the goal of it is just to highlight some of the programs that's out there for veterans, and to be able to speak to your leadership to be able to bring some of those home to where you are.
You mind if I ask you
But
what is that
yeah,
exactly like? What does that entail specifically, or like what your day to day is, or like the brief overview of what that means? I think like even myself, I have a because I would ask that, like, just the first thing that comes to my head is
right.
that specifically.
Right, 100%. And so our state VA, we have a lot of programs, a lot of different programs and services. And so the reason they brought me on board was to be able to, what's the sense of having a program if no one knows about it? A lot of
Mm.
people are in their lane and they're focused on their specific program, and I don't want to necessarily say they can't speak to other programs, but that's not their lane. And so my goal is to be able to highlight all of our programs and services, to be able to do stand downs, resource fairs, town halls, online gaming forums, just to be able to meet the veteran where they are. A lot of veterans don't have the ability to make it out. A lot of veterans are only available in this platform, in this space. And you have these agencies that are rigid. We have the brick and mortar setting.
Yeah,
Not
dude, that's
everyone
literally
can
why I
have.
started doing this. Like straight up. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm like, we'll have to
No.
answer some questions, and some of the things Donnie said, hey, fix it before I say it. I do apologize. And we had started streaming, built up some viewership, obviously a little bit earlier. A lot of people knew this was coming. A lot of people came in earlier. Thank you so much. But his point, case in point of what he just said, is exactly why that's why I do what I do. It's like literally I can't tell you, dude, like how many people that I meet that serve that are like I don't have, even though they don't have wheels, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
it's a far trip. They live out in the boonies. So like, this is a really good asset in today's digital world that like our prior service veterans and generations didn't have. We're very fortunate in that regard. And so,
Yeah.
of course, that, and thank you so much for coming on here, dude. So, like, I just kind of asked that question because I wanted to be able to base where people could ask their questions if they did have questions, like start already get the wheels spinning in specifically what you do. So, yeah, I'll
Right.
pass it back over. But Donnie he was asking me to make sure I had your title right. So, yeah, man. So go
Yeah.
ahead.
And that's 1,000,000% right. And just to go a little bit into my backstory, OIF, OEF. I've served 2 combat tours over in Iraq. I was stop lost overseas. And so essentially what that meant in 2005 was you get back, you got to go. I was held at the convenience of the government. I got back, they kicked me out really quick. And I say kick me out as far as, hey, your term of service is up. You got to go. And so I went to a state where I don't want to say they didn't know or care for veterans benefits, but one of the things that was missing was they didn't meet me where I was. I had a dead end job. Um, I was a raging alcoholic. I had severe PTSD, and I prioritized everything but myself. But you don't know what you don't know. I didn't know about the benefits. I didn't know what VA had to offer, and honestly, I really didn't care. I really didn't care. I just wanted to be done with that chapter of my life. I wanted my education. I wanted to do that. I started school and I blew out of there pretty quickly. Just things didn't work out quite well. A large part of it was me, um, and I'll own that. I wasn't ready um, wasn't ready to do a lot of things,
You were
and
ready
it
to
just
accept it, bro. Cause I went like my story is almost identical, bro. And I really appreciate you. This is some real shit. Like I'm just gonna be honest with you, off the cuff here. Like this is a lot of people who've been around for a long time know that like that this is an aspect of the channel. Myself as a creator as well. Like I don't BS around, and veterans appreciate other veterans that have real life experience, and that is part of the real life human experience. And so like I can relate to what you said because I'm like I remember just being in that like victimized, constantly thinking about the past, constantly being on a selfish grind of like, why them, not me, this, everything, you know what I mean? And then not being ready to complete school and get to work in it because you're just not ready. You're not ready to accept what happened. You're not ready to own what you're doing. You're just not, you're not being who you were when you was ready to conquer the world and getting back to that. And there's a lot around what brick by brick is and building yourself back up. And I'm not trying to do like a plug here about what I do, but like, dude, but honestly, you got to be one of the first guests that didn't come on is like a that's just been that just is real as hell, man. I really appreciate that, bro. Like you wouldn't believe, man. I'm sure a lot of other people in the chat like really appreciate that too, dude. But that's yeah, like conceptually, it's hard to own it, especially
yeah.
when you the little voice in the back of your head is like knows you're doing wrong, and because you hurting the people you love, your wife, your kids, whatever, your mom. But when it does happen, it's the most beautiful thing. So if you're in that area, hey, if you've been there, like, hey, welcome on out. If you're there, you just got to make a decision. I think that's like a massive part to where you was headed. So I'll hand it back to you. Sorry for grabbing it, but like I really do appreciate you bringing that up.
No, no, no. I mean, and that's real, I I've been working with veterans for the past 20 years. You can there's things that's said and there's things that's done. I pride myself on the ability to be able to. Vast majority of my friends are military veterans. They've served. I help them with this, I help them with that. I get them because a lot of what I've done is based on my own experience. To coming out, to falling, to failing, to not, on the verge of homelessness. On the verge of homelessness. Fortunately enough, I had a partner um, that was understanding. There was some DUIs, there was some drunken publics. It was just a calamity, a calamity. Mental, physical, emotional, loss of job, loss of everything.
Catastrophe
Um,
waiting to happen unless you did something about it. And
Catastrophe,
yeah,
catastrophe, an
100%.
absolute catastrophe. The one thing that started to pull me out of that hole, we moved to a new state. My wife gets to talking to my partner at the time, before she was my wife, gets to talking to other veteran spouses, and they say, "Hey, she finally comes to me and she says, you know what? You got to go in and you got to get seen. You got to get seen. I've been talking to them. A lot of what you're going through, how you're doing, how you're drinking, what's going on is not normal. You need to go in and get seen." How do I know it's not normal when I'm surrounded by people that it is normal? I'm surrounded by my military friends. I'm surrounded by people that drink at a fifth a night is normal. Doing those things are normal. It was a
They
continuation
get
of my
upset
military service.
when you do want to try to give it a break,
Right,
and they're gonna be like, "Look,
right,
come on, man,
right,
just
right. What are
hop
you doing?
in. I got a
Right.
12 pack, bro. Come on, man.
Let's, let's, let's
What's
go.
wrong with you?" They
Yep.
jab at you a little bit.
Yep.
I've been there. When you
Yep.
surround yourself
Yep.
with like-minded
Yep.
people, that makes it that's
Yep.
double. That's a double-edged sword to get out of that hole, bro. And a lot of
Yep.
vets, a lot of my friends here, and a lot of people in the community, they relate with that hard, dude. It is makes it hard, right? Like,
Yeah.
and
It does.
you
It does.
slip a lot because of that. You know,
Yeah.
it's hard to tell
Yeah.
people you've either thought we're your friend or are your friend, and they just not ready
Yeah.
either. No,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's tough because when you join the military service, you lose a lot of that, especially when you go on combat. You lose that. You lose a lot of the people that you had touch with on the military service. You build those bond with your friends. You build those bond with those people, and then when you get out, those are your people. Like 20 years, those are still my closest friends and families, and I call them brothers, is because they've been there for me and with me. And so
Yeah.
it is almost like I want to be able to maintain this relationship, but I want to be able to maintain what we do. But at the end of the day, when my partner came to me with that, I chewed on it for a little while. I sat on it, I marinated on it, and I realized that where we were going, where we were headed, where I was at that point was not the person that I was when I joined. It wasn't that 17-year-old me that wanted to go out and accomplish this and this and this and this.
And you could get
So,
away with all that behavior when you were still able to process it all the time. When you didn't have the battle scars, when you didn't have all the hangups where you're doing it in excess, you probably still did it in excess, but your younger self handles it. You're doing PT, and it was part of the culture, right? Too. So, and
yeah,
I'm not ignoring you on chat. What up, Phantom Seer? Chair, thank you so much. Donnie, good to see you, of course, always. Aki, what up to you, man? I see you said what I'm not you might have to articulate that a little further. It says what made the decision to move though. I don't know if you meant like
mm,
what was the finalized
right,
decision to make you,
right,
you know,
right.
that
That's a good
kicked it, I
question.
guess. You know what I mean? That's the way I
That's a good
perceive it. If
question.
it's different, Aki, just ask.
Right. That's a good question. I I'm gonna be real here, man, because
Nah, you're good,
that
bro.
that
Send it.
it really hit
Yeah.
me. Um, I lost a job, contract was removed, and so it wasn't necessarily because of me. I still carried over my military bearing as far as work and everything else, but I lost a job outside of my control. I had an opportunity to get a job with airlines. It was a great opportunity, and I had to fly out to do the paperwork the next day. I remember waking up on the floor in the morning in a drunken stupor, just barely having enough time to grab my clothes and get on the flight. I didn't get the job because I didn't have a license. And so I got a dead end job. And my girlfriend at the time, who allowed me to stay with her, otherwise I would have been homeless after losing that job. She said, "Hey, you know what? I got a job in another state. And I'm thinking of taking that opportunity." I think we were going on 2.5, 3 years at the time, maybe two. I'm thinking about taking that opportunity. I think it would be a good fresh start for you. And I know you're familiar with the state because you served over there. Would that be something you're up to? Um, yeah, let's go. I'm Army. I don't care where in the world you put me. It doesn't matter. And I own that with a sense of pride. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you go. And so let's go. We packed it up and we moved out here. I turned myself in to complete some community service time. And she moved out here alone. And again, that's something that I think about this day of, you're supposed to be a man, you're supposed to do these things, but your partner holding it down for you. And so all of those things were just kind of, the loss of job, the loss of opportunity, this person that has more faith in me than myself. All of those things were kind of swirling around in my head. So when she
And
came and
had
said,
did
"Hey,"
she had she se- and had she seen you prior to as well when you were more performing at your best or those things too? Because like my
I
wife
got with
did, and
her.
that's why I
Yep,
asked. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I got with her in 2005, almost 4 or 5 years after service, right when I dress right,
Yeah.
dress, ready to go, hit the ground running. The
Juggernaut mode.
DUI, DUI, drunk in public, drunk in public.
Yeah.
All of those things were right when we got together. So she's seen me how I was, had my place, had my vehicle. She's seen me how as myself. And when that just a moment here. Um, she's seen me as myself. And then over the course of that 2.5 years, all of those things happened. And so she got to see me, she got to see all of those things happen within that short of amount of time.
But
And it
she
was
knew
just
like
boom, 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 boom.
you could be this.
Yeah.
I seen it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
wonder like, could you go back? Because I had that.
Right.
That's got to be tough. My wife was almost soft on it because she
Mm,
didn't know. She lightly suggested because when you're in that role, for those of you, a lot of you in chat are going to relate and understand. People that see the video, you're going to be like, "Oh, I went through that," or I know what it's like." But this one thing is a big deal. When you are the leader and you are expected to
mm,
be the leader and you've been trained to be a leader and you've been in that position in not just your job but in the home,
yeah.
it's hard for someone else who is lightly suggesting like what might work for them to turn around. It's disappointing, and imagine that affects your brain big time. It's heartbreak. I like it's very. I've gone through it, talked about this a lot. It's emotional still to this day. I could see it for you, obviously, but yeah, when you have a person who's seen it before, but that's real, bro. Like
Mhm.
that's super real. Yeah, she wants you to do your best, and that move might have been some of the best change you could have. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to listen to my spouse. Like, no, I don't need
Mhm.
VA.
Mhm.
No, I don't want to. I didn't.
Right.
It came to a
Mhm.
point where I had to promise that that's what I was gonna do because I would have lost my wifey if it wasn't. You know what I mean for that. So yeah. Anyways, bro, go ahead.
Mhm. Yep. And that's to that point. And so again, you need to go in, you need to be seen. Same thing. Yeah, I'll get there when I get there. So one day, working on a dead end job, I go in. I walk in to the service center, veteran service officer. Hey, what do I need to do to do a claim? What do I need to do to do whatever this person is asking me to do? Um, and I got met with one of the best VSOs that I've had in my life. They sat me down. They looked over my service treatment records. They said, "You need to go here, here, here. Do this, do this, do this." Give me a blueprint of everything that I needed to do to have a successful claim.
Hell yeah.
I did it. I did it. I did everything that person going into the VA hospital, getting treated, going and doing health registry, the Gulf War registry, going and doing this, going and doing that. Everything they said I did. About maybe a year and a half, close to 2 years later, claim finally came through, approved. Every condition filed. And from that moment forward, it changed my life. It changed my life. This isn't
It was
about
a
me.
moment when
This
you
is about
finally meet that one person that
100%.
that changes it. It
100%.
changes it all, bro.
100%. 100%. And again, this isn't about me. This isn't about what I've gone through. The biggest thing that I just wanted to say in this moment is I didn't know what I didn't know. But once I got connected to the benefits, it changed everything. I know firsthand how important those benefits are, how important the federal VA benefits are, how important the state benefits are, how important the county benefits are. They are important because what you're going through right now, if you're going through anything at all, there are benefits out there. And yes, it may not get approved. Yes, you may have to fight. Yes, you may not be met with a great VSO. You may get met with the worst one out there.
Legit, no
Continue
kidding.
fighting.
Like that is literally the next comment in chat too. Was exactly what you
All right.
just said. And I wanted to say the biggest part to this too, though, and you're right, because like I was thinking it too, but I was like, I'm gonna let you rip because this is legit, you know. But the thing is that this might reach somebody that is like, oh, I'm going through that, or like whatever. And somebody spoke up in chat, first time chatter, Centurion 720. And what up, Miss Fresh? Who are the you two on Nar? What's up, bro? We got three army cats in here chatting back and forth as
Oh,
well. I just stopped by.
boy,
Who helped this vet with his claim? When I did mine, the VSO only looked at 2 pieces of paper in my med record. Great comment. Thank you for saying something. That's exactly what he was just kind of saying too. And it's something I harp on, but we have limited time. I'm going to let Leland speak here on this one.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, and that is the case. That is the case. But good part is there's more than one veteran service officer. I worked as a veteran service officer for going on 4 years. And the thing I realized is the turnover is high. You got one VSO that's there that learns everything, that knows everything, and now all of a sudden they're transitioning out of that role and you're starting over and you just catch a perfect storm. You go to a veteran service officer, you don't necessarily need to sign a power of attorney with them. Get a feel for them. Get to know them. If they're not somebody you want to continue on with, find another VSO. I think one of the last platforms we did, they popped in the VSO finder, the VA VSO finder. You can find a VSO, and so this again from all of the benefits, and I know we have people on here to speak to the federal VA better than I can. I mean, but as far as the voc rehab, the education, the post 9/11, the Montgomery GI, the burial, the VA life insurance, which is increased to $40,000, which they take right out of your compensation. There's so many benefits that it is just mind blowing what's available. And again, I know it's not hasn't been a perfect world for every vet out there, and I'm not painting it as that. I just
Yeah, but
speak to
I'm
my
gonna level
experience.
with you here and play devil's advocate on that. They want to speak to you. Like that's what I'm
Mm,
saying on that in that specific topic. You know what I mean? Like you are that face because this is the big change I've been trying to tell folks because I was in that generation. I didn't go to VA for 11 years. I went the first time when I first got out. I was like, "F this! I ain't fucking doing this." Like I was pissed. But like
yep.
so much has changed, and Donnie said this, and thank you for putting in the link, Donnie, as well. Very much appreciate that. But the thing I've been saying, Donnie brought up before, a third of VA is covered with veteran as employees, and that's a very important factor because
Mm,
that's why I'm saying like you are that
yeah.
person. I know people come to the channel because they want to speak to me as a veteran and have in that experience, but I always say this. So me and Leland were completely off the cuff. We lived what you guys were waiting through when you were like, "What in the hell is going on with stream?" Was literally me setting up tech like it spaz like in the middle of in like midstream. So here's the deal. I always say, have you ever gone to the grocery store and you just every time you get the best cashier you've ever had in your life, perfect customer service or whatever? I will tell you every single time, 10 times out of 10, you need to do 50% of the work. They will do their job. You need to find the right individual. And if you aren't getting the answers that you are looking for, you need to find the resource and the person that you need to speak with. And very oftentimes, and why I started the channel is you, as I always say, through the education that I can spiel all that all day, but the biggest thing is network. Like you being
Yeah.
able to ask Donnie questions, me being able to ask Leland questions, you being able to ask me being able to reach out to one of you is so important. And that is the change. That is why I said yes to doing what I do now. Because I never would have done this if I didn't think I was going to help change other veterans' lives and the experience that pissed me off so much. So if you are that way, look, it ain't got to end here. You can ask as many questions as you want. And I promise you, that's what the Discord for. You can DM me, you can reach out in any way, ask whatever you want. We got you. We got you. If I don't have the answer, we're gonna find someone who does. If Leland don't got the answer, gonna find someone who does. Donnie don't got the answer, gonna find someone who does. That's what our whole network's about. So that's just my whole spiel on it. You know what I mean? It just kind of parlays exactly with what you're saying.
100%, 100%. I love that grocery store, because just because you face a bad service doesn't mean you're going to stop going to the grocery store.
Right.
You're still going to continue. You're still going to continue, and if you take that same mindset and that same approach to a veteran service officer, yeah, you may run into a bad one. Yeah, you may get denied, but continue it, continue the process. And it's frustrating. It's all hell. But at the end of the day, it's what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And so I just wanted to cover some of transitioning over to some of our state programs of what we have here in Washington State. And so, again, if you hear anything of interest to you, I think the most important part of this is to connect with your state VA. Just like the federal VA, reach out to your state VA. Hey, what programs do you guys have? Well, what do we have here in this state? What can I use? How can I factor that into my life? What can I be able to bring over to another veteran? And so just to be able to understand what we have, maybe not be what you have. So without further ado, um, we have five major programs. That'll be our state veterans homes. our transitional housing program, our state veteran cemetery, our veterans counseling, and our veteran services, and our counseling and wellness. And so I'm not keeping an eye on the chat, so I don't want to talk over anyone that has something pressing in the
No, I'm
chat.
watching it. They've
Feel
they've
free to
had a
stop.
couple, but like Donnie answered one of the questions to X Dimmers, also first time chat. Thank you, which was about quick questions post 9/11 GI Bill expired. Donnie answered it in full, like full on paragraph. Miss Fresh, what up? Good to see you. You're good, bro. And Omnar, thank you very much for the comment. VA rejected everything when I got out, but it has gotten better since 2003. OG vet. Like I
Right.
consider
Right.
myself to be when I used to look up to the old Vietnam vets like my uncle. Never give up. Thank you. Good point on our again. Feel free
Yeah.
to ask anything in chat. Send it. Like ask the questions. And like I said, if you don't get it out here and it comes to you later, send it. Send it. Go ahead.
Sure. And so for our veterans homes, we have four located throughout the state. One of the key benefits to our veterans homes is veterans rated 70 through 100% service connected, or whose service connected disability is the reason nursing home care is needed, may have their nursing home care paid for by the federal VA. And so, again, if that's something that's of interest to you, connect with your state VA, find out if you do have a veterans homes and what is the eligibility for free care at that facility. And if that's not the case, where rated 70 to 100% is where they're at, why not? Why not? Why isn't this the case? What do we need to do to make this happen? How do we incorporate that state VA benefit with these homes to make sure that we have that same benefit? Um, Also, we have our transitional housing program. As you know, homelessness from here to there. I mean, I'm in Washington State, and it's an epidemic. I'm sure it's the same where many of you are located across the United States. And so the federal VA has housing options. The state has housing options, and so we have a transitional housing program that's two locations, and we have a medical recuperative care grant, which essentially means veterans that are in the hospital won't release them to the street. They need to have an address or somewhere where they can put down. They'll release them to the transition housing program. They'll get in a facility. They'll get that continuation of medical care. If the condition gets worse, they go back to the hospital and kind of that back and forth. We also have a type of program to where veterans can come into the program for 24 months. The program provides breakfast, lunch, dinner, Wi-Fi, transportation to and from medical appointments, case management, and the veterans pay 30% of their income to the program. So, and that's a cap. So they won't pay more than $659 a month. And after that, the income is theirs. And you basically, whatever plan you work, that's the plan you're going to work towards with your case manager. And again, I know that the federal VA has options as well for homeless veterans. And so that's an option out there for homeless veterans, but this is on the state level. And so, one of the benefits, the reason why we're able to have this program is because for our skilled nursing facilities, our veterans homes, we own the land. And so they converted one of the buildings over to a transitional housing program, and we get federal funds to maintain that program. So it's a good program. Not a lot of states have that because, again, the federal VA will pay the grant funding, but not a lot of programs agencies, state can be able to support the breakfast, lunch, dinner, and all of those things. And so again, that's something to follow up with your state on. State Veteran Cemetery, and the eligibility mirrors that of the United States Department of Veterans Affairs cemeteries. The good part about the cemetery, it has a committal service shelter and provides for casketed burial, columbary niches, and burial plots to support cremations as well as a scatter garden. And so that's a good benefit in addition to what the federal VA has to offer. A big
Does it
part,
is there any
yeah,
family is there any spousal benefits to that? And I would assume the answer is
yes,
no. Oh, it is.
yeah, yes.
Oh,
The spouse, as long as the veteran is
that's
eligible, the
crazy.
spouse is eligible as well.
I would have never guessed that. I would have never guessed that in a million years. Because
Yeah,
I'm definitely concerned about myself, you know what I mean? But I want to make sure
yeah.
my wifey does not, hopefully I
Mhm.
can carry her on through the finish line, you know what I mean? So I was just thinking it, and it's a messed up talking, but I mean
Right.
you gotta be prepared for your kids and whatever else. But hey, man, yeah,
You do.
sorry to ask you that. Sorry to interrupt you
No,
there.
no, no, no. You do. You have to think about those things, and sometimes it's too many options. sometimes you're like, okay, well, I got the federal option for my spouse, and I got the state option for my spouse now. Okay, then maybe where her family's buried, maybe where my family's buried, and so you gotta talk about those things. Just because I have eligibility for this state VA,
I got you,
cemetery
Kazoo.
doesn't mean it's gonna fit.
Yeah.
You
Kazoo
know?
has said, and I do apologize about that as well here. And by the way, I'm gonna do something for you here just because you mentioned that. Uh, Kazul said, I'm sorry I missed it because of an ad. I was wondering what he said. This will be uploaded as well. Just want to let you know. But here's the deal. If you're going to ask, if you want to ask anything, all you got to do is if it's specific to your case, now you don't have to watch ads anymore. Give
Brick
you a
by
sub.
Brick Vets
So
removed ads for Brick by Brick Warriors.
you can
They have
literally
gifted
ask
zero
specifically
total.
whatever you miss. No worries. Sorry about that. Go ahead. My bad, dude. We'll find out what it is, Kazul, and then you just ask what you want to know about, and we'll answer it.
Yeah, and so that's a big benefit as far as the state veteran cemetery goes. Again, it's another option. And again, sometimes there's too many options. Sometimes it's too much, and you just got to figure out what works best for you and your family. But at the end of the day, to have that option is more than a lot of the civilians have. And I want to pause here, and I don't want to go too much into that federal VA lane. But I really want to just go, since we're on the topic of burial. I really want to talk about the VA life insurance. The VA life insurance, they just increased it to $40,000, and they take it right out of your comp. And so the last thing you want to do is pass that expense on to a loved one. And they cut the check. They you report your passing, they cut the check. That was one of the things that I was glad that they increased it from 10,000 to 40,000. And no, it's not 200, $300,000 like a lot of the other insurance policies, but it's something to put your body in the ground and not pass that expense on to your loved one. So definitely look into that if you don't have insurance, anything to cover yourself. And you'll find with a lot of like the mental health, the PTSDs, and a lot of those mental health conditions, physical health conditions, you may not be eligible for insurance for any other carrier, and so that may be your only option. And so definitely just make sure to look into that. Um, for our veteran services, that's the largest component of what we do is our veteran service officers. So what we do is a little bit different. We contract with 5 veteran service organizations. So although we have our service center to where they do claims out of, I believe we have about 4 veteran service officers that work out of our central office and are accredited with Washington Department of Veteran Affairs. We contract with 5 veteran service organizations: African American PTSD, American Legion, National Association of Black Veterans, Veterans of Foreign Wars, and Vietnam Veterans of America. And so we compensate them. They will be able to work in the community with the veterans to be able to do the claims. But it's more of a contract. We pay them for their work, and they do the work with the veterans. The veterans will be accredited with that organization. And
Can I
another
ask you a
thing,
question?
for sure.
Yeah. So, here's a real one question for you. I get to ask this all the time, or stated to me, and then so a veteran will come up to me. One of my homies will come up to me. Somebody will say to me, they'll be like, "Yeah, man, I'm hiring a lawyer because I need this done right. I don't know what I'm doing." And I'm like, "Bro, you realize like a lot of orgs out there do VSO work, right? Like I don't like get kind of hung up, but I don't really have like the perfect answer to that. You know what I mean? Like, look, you do you, man. I'm just telling you that like without having to cut a check, you got somebody that will literally do it passionately because they got helped in
Right.
some type of way or whatever, and just ask, you know.
Right.
And so I'm always looking for
Right.
that as an asset, but I wanted to maybe get your input on that, maybe experiential wise, what and your thoughts
Yeah,
on it.
I could speak to that, from a couple of different ways. I've been in that situation myself. I've had friends that have been in that situation and have kind of advised me the same thing. What I would always recommend is start low and work high. You know, start off with the veteran service officer. Put in your claim with the veteran service officer. They're free. When it comes to, okay, I've been denied. Now, what do I want to do? Do I want to continue with this veteran service officer, or do I want to go? I've worked with them. We're not getting anywhere. You know what? I think at this point in time, I am going to go out and look at an attorney. Look at one of those like the pro bono. If I don't get paid, you don't get paid. Kind of attorneys, and I've heard a mixed bag on a lot of those. To
Same.
where
That's
if
why I
that,
asked. Like
mhm,
straight up,
yeah,
dude. That's literally
hmm
why I asked you. And I was more
yeah,
so like, I think some vets get hung up on like if there's a like they think there's some type of conflict of interest. Respectfully, understandably, why I get it. You know what I mean? With VA, particularly, who cares? And I didn't hear you get about politics, whatever. But I know that, like, my
right,
point of bringing up was more so that, like, you have VF Dub and all, like,
yep,
there's many organizations that do this, and you guys say you partner up with them anyways, right? So,
yep,
you know what I
100%.
mean? That's why I
Yeah, I
asked.
do. I do. Yeah, no, I mean, always, you always want to start with the veteran service officer. That's step one. Start with the veteran service officer. And then, again, now if you're sitting there at the end of the day, you've done everything you can with that veteran service officer, you've appealed it higher level, and you're still just coming against the wall, and you want to go that next route to say, hey, okay, now let's look at, okay, I have friends, I have myself. Okay, now, okay, pro bono. Okay, we're only going to take 30% of your retroactive benefits. And you have to ask the person, okay, so they take, you get, let's say you get retroactive $30,000, they take their portion. Okay, you get yours. Is the monthly benefit is coming to you? I don't care about the retroactive benefit. The only thing I care about is the monthly comp. And if you're fine with that, just weigh those costs and weigh those things out and just make sure. And again, it's on the person. Start with the VSO. That gets denied. You're at your last course. I've weighed it myself. There's, I believe it's trajectory, not to plug anybody. A lot of my friends have gone through them. And again, that's their choice. Um, and again, it's what your concern is. I just, the retroactive benefits, take your 30% out of that. I'll get the little bit of remaining retroactive benefits. But my goal is I want that 100%. I want that 70%. I want this. I want to be able to have my condition, accurately rated.
It's literally
And,
what you're
yeah,
owed, and I was just trying to be
right,
unbiased and give
right,
a nice clean
right.
slate to it. And it's cool because you had experience with it,
Mm,
right? So I
mm,
wanted to hear that other side to it, which is great, and I
right,
appreciate that because I think like so for me, I had a VSO, Air Force cat, amazing dude. It was like you said, he moved up the ladder because he was good at what he did. He became the head of
yeah,
everything else. But the guy that advised me is the one that talked me into it, and I was like, we were. I'll say one specific thing. He was like, I was in Air Force. I experienced XYZ, loading XYZ, da 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 da. And he goes, and he was talking. I kept saying, "What? I had hearing damage, which I have hearing aids now for, thanks to him." And I said, well, I got buddies that ain't here. And blah. He's like, what was your job? Infantry. You going to tell me that you don't want to get your hearing checked? Are you dumb? Like, are you stupid? Like, so
yeah,
he helped. It was a great VSO. But then I had a lot
yeah,
of friends who have taken the other route, and I didn't want to say anything to say, you know what? It's been like you answered that perfectly, bro. And I think that's like a
yeah.
lot of veterans' questions. I'd love to hear some of your guys' comments as well if you have any questions. That I gotta let my man continue on. I keep interrupting, but
Yeah.
thank you so much on that because
No,
that was probably
it's all good stuff.
one of my top questions, bro. It's like I've
Yeah,
always kind of
it's
wanted to know
it's
too.
all good.
It's frustrating, dude, if like
Yeah,
you are old because I met a lot of veterans that it's like
yeah,
like it's the joke that's constantly said. We say it a lot in chat. I meet guys in this game. I do a lot of milsim now, and it's like not service connected. When you know it's straight factually service connected. We lost your records, and that's kind of where that comes from. You know what I mean? So anyway, so
yeah,
go ahead. My bad.
yeah. No, I mean it is. I mean, and there's a difference between a good VSO and a bad VSO. Obviously, I mean, obviously, it makes a world of a difference. It's like I find myself out, and like you mentioned, what's your MOS? What's your duty assignments? You got the tinnitus, you got the bilateral hearing loss. You get the combat veterans that will, to where they'll file a claim, or like the presumption, of OIF, OEF, and they'll come and they'll say VA denied my claim because it wasn't in my service records. Now a good VSO is going to recognize immediately. Wait a minute, why were they going through your service treatment records if it's a presumption? You should verify he was over there, they were over there, she was over there, and look to see if they can have a current diagnosis and base it off of their current. instead of their service records. And
It's
so
not a
here's a
shall, it's
good
a
BS
will. Yeah, provide.
Mhm,
Like
mhm,
it's like you said, it's presumptive. So what he's saying there is basically like, um,
right,
if you were in XYZ situation, deployment, whatever, it is already automatically presumed that you
right.
have XYZ claim. And it's the
Yeah.
way I understand it. I don't want to take
Yep.
words, but I
Yep.
just to kind of break
One
it down
million
to
percent.
layman's terms of somebody who might be watching.
Yep. Yep.
Because
One
that had to
million
be said
percent.
to me too. It's like it's kind of goes hand in hand.
1 million%. And that's 1 million%. There's different types of claims, and so just working with the good veteran service officer to where it's like, wait a minute, they should be able to catch that, and always seek a second opinion. But I just that's just a couple of things like you mentioned about the MOS, and that a good VSO is going to bring it out of you. They're going to ask those questions. They're going to be able to recognize that hearing loss. They're going to be able to recognize those things to be able to get you to say, oh yeah, you know what? I did do that over there. Oh, I did recognize this to be able to move forward and get that going.
If you don't know, you don't
Um,
know.
you don't know. You don't know. And that's their job. If I go to a mechanic, I'm expecting for you to tell me what's going on with the vehicle. I should know more than a mechanic. That person, that's their job to know, and that's their job to be able to recognize the sound, to recognize the smell, to recognize whatever it is that's going on. That's their field, and they should be able to pull those things up to where you shouldn't need a lawyer. You shouldn't need that. But
Right.
again, that's
And
a
if you get like we were talking about with the cashier, if you go to a mechanic and they're not doing the job right, do you go to the same mechanic? Nah, you don't, man.
no,
So I mean,
no,
I gotta grind a lot with my veteran buddies and stuff and people in our community
no.
together. So, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
the same thought process. Trust me, who you're talking to today is not who you were talking to 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Like totally different experience. So 100%. Yeah. What up, Bullet
Um,
Drop?
one
Welcome in. Go ahead, my
One
bad.
of the good things, oh, no worries, no worries. One of the good things that I like about what we recognize in this state was that the turnover was high. There was a lot of institutional knowledge that's been lost with the turnover with veteran service organizations, American Legion, DAV, and not to necessarily pick on them, but what we started to do was county veteran service officer agreements. And so we'd reach out to the county and we'd say, hey, if we will accredit it, your employee, they'll have Washington State Department of Veteran Affairs accreditation, but they'll work for the county. They'll get all the county benefits, everything that the county gets as far as an employee, and that will help on several fronts. And so right now we have 23 county veteran service officer agreements with 30 out of the 39 counties being served. And so that helps to where you have that consistency, you have that where it's that you don't have that high
Efficiency.
turnover efficiencies. It increases the efficiencies. And this is in addition to the veteran service organizations. This isn't saying, hey, we're going to take money away. We're going to stop doing what we're doing there. The county is paying for it. And so this is just more veteran service officers that are out in the community that's assisting with claims. And then we also have memorandums of agreements with 7 out of the 29 federally recognized Indian tribes to provide VSO training and accreditation to their tribal VSOs. And so it's a large part of what we do, just making sure veterans are connected to their benefits. Um, I'm going to cruise through some of the programs. I don't want to spend too much time on those. VIP program, Veterans Innovation Program, they assist post 9/11 veterans facing financial hardships. Good part about this is it's yours. So if vehicle repair, first, last month, security deposit, things like that, you don't need to repay it. And so it's yours. It's a one time. Here you go. I've seen $2,000, $3,000. They try not to put a hard limit on it and just take care of that one-time need to get you back to where you need to be. That's a great program. We have a transitional warrior program that works with veterans on their way out. It works with active duty service members on their way out of service to be able to do the benefits delivery discharge program so veterans can have their claims before they get out of service. So basically, they hit the ground running and don't need to spend 6, 8, 9, 12 months on a claim. It gets it out. So once they get their DD 214 in hand, boom, they hit the ground running. Um, Veterans Estate Management Program, VEMP, offers protected pay services for veterans and family members who are incapable of managing their own financial affairs. This goes for young and old. There's many veterans that will get that letter in the mail that says, "Hey, congratulations, you got your benefits. However, we find that you are capable of managing your own financial affairs." And we propose the proposals. We propose to that we can they kind of put you through that pay process, and they make that proposal. And but there's an option out there. If you are thinking about connecting with, if that is happening to you, if you know that that's something that's that's happened to a loved one, check with your state VA to see if they offer like a VEMP program, a Veterans Estate Management Program, to be able to help to manage their own financial affairs. Once VA makes that proposal to you, you have very little time to be able to get that answered. And so you want to make sure to, last thing you want, working as a case manager for a transitional housing program, we'd have many veterans come in and they'd have a payee that they can't get a hold of, that their money has been held up and they're getting pennies, based off of their Social Security or their VA. And there's just a large gap in communication. And so that's one of the programs that we offer. And I've helped many veterans be able to get a hold of their case manager, get them enrolled in our VENT program, and work with their case managers to be able to provide what they're looking for. One that comes to mind, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, was a veteran that had, he had at least $10,000 to $20,000 in his account. He just wanted a bike. That's all he wanted. And just work with the RVIMP to be able to get the bike, spent a couple of $1,000s on the bike for him. Seen him years outside of the program, and he still had his bike. That was his most cherished possession. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that if it weren't with our state VA, if he was still dealing with his payee that he had been dealing with before he joined ours, that wouldn't have happened. And so, again, I speak to the state VA when it comes to protected pay services, and this is for young and for old. And so if you know an older veteran that's dealing with that, definitely try to connect with the state VA if they offer that. We have a LGBTQ plus veteran outreach coordinator. They connect LGBTQ plus veterans to benefits and assist with the upgrade of their discharge status, and be able to help them with their benefits. Counseling and wellness program. We have contracted licensed mental health providers that serve veterans and families experiencing PTSD, military sexual trauma, or other military related issues. And it's free for veterans. And again, that's federal VA, they have options. We have the Vet Center, but on a state level, to be able to get connected for mental health, free. And it just releases that barrier to where you don't have to worry about paying out of pocket. Let's say if you don't want to be connected to the federal VA. Maybe you have some harsh memories, some harsh times that you just don't want to deal with the federal VA. Being able to connect with the state VA on mental health and being able to have that. And if your state isn't offering that, why? Why aren't we offering this? Why don't we have this benefit available to our veterans? This is something that we need to work on. Who do I need to talk to? I learned from my own experience that I love my agency, but there's some things that I'll speak to and I'll speak to and I'll speak to, and it's just kind of like, oh yeah, we'll get there. But in comparison to a veteran coming in and they speak to it, they're a little bit more receptive. And so there's power in your voices. There's power in what you say. There's power in what you demand. And so again, if your state isn't offering something like this and you want that, bring it to them. Veterans Training Support Center. We have a brain injury and recovery program that works with veterans on case management for for brain injury and recovery. Um, we have a tobacco cessation program. We have a program that works with suicide prevention. We have two programs actually. One is more so to working with agencies to provide learn training, to be able to offer information, going over peer outreach, peer support, suicide prevention services, and connection to VA and community resources. And then we also have our Staff Sergeant Fox program, which is more of a case management program to be able to work with veterans, be able to get them into the program, and to be able to find out what they need. They work with providers all throughout the state. There's equine therapy. If a veteran needs that type of therapy, they'll understand it. They'll reach out. They'll make that connection, and they'll be able to bring the veteran to that specific program. They pay, the equine therapy program. So they'll pay them. The veteran goes there, gets the care that they need. And it's more so of a peers, of a case management type of role. Um, Apprenticeships program. assist veterans in connecting with registered apprenticeships and other career connected learning. And so they work with veterans. Not every veteran is ready to go to school right away. Sometimes it's, what I'd like to use. What other ways can I use my GI Bill? What other ways can I use my Post 9/11? What other ways can I use my Voc Rehab? What other ways can I use this benefit outside of just going to a traditional brick and mortar school? And so they just kind of go over those options, work with the veteran to be able to get connected to an apprenticeships program, and they travel all throughout the state to do events, stand downs, town hall. They're very big on meeting the veteran where they are. And that's a lot of what we do as far as outreach. We meet the veteran where they are. Veteran owned business is another good one. And so, the veterans, let's say you're a business owner, you have your own business as a veteran, like many veterans do, and you say, hey, you know what? How do I get this out there? There's many people that want to do business with a veteran owned business, but they don't know where to go, who to talk to. Do I go to 211, Yellow Pages, etc.? Veterans get on our site, dva.wa.gov. There's an option on there, veteran owned business. We highlight the veterans. We put them on there. So if anybody in the state is looking for a veteran owned business, you can go on there, scroll down, look whether it's plumbing, whether it's air conditioning, whether it's carpet, whatever it is, food trucks. We have that information on there so veterans can highlight their benefit and program and steer people their way that's looking to do business with a veteran owned business. We also have there's a small a part that you can get off your loan as far as for registering as a professional business. Coming to a close, we just picked up definition of a veteran for the purpose of state veterans benefits, and I'm going to come back to that because again, there's a difference between federal benefits and state benefits. State benefits are essentially what the state says, hey, this is what we're going to do for our veterans. If you look at Texas, Texas has a lot more than Washington State does in comparison to what California does. And so, what are my state benefits? What am I eligible for as far as, okay, now I get my disability compensation. I get 30%, 40%, 50%. What am I eligible for the state? I know what I'm eligible for on the federal side, but what does my state offer for those veterans benefits? The point of a definition of a veteran is to be able to allow veterans to have access to those benefits. Um, can't change the federal definition, but we can work on a state definition. And so essentially, state definition of veteran, expanding state veterans benefits to any veteran who is already eligible for federal Department of Veterans Affairs monetary benefits. So in short, if the VA has said we're service connecting you, let's say if you have a general under honorable discharge, whatever your discharge is, the VA has said, hey, we approve your claim, we're compensating you for that. And now when you go in to apply for a state benefit, the state benefit says, oh, for county assistance fund, to be given a short-term financial assistance, you need to have an honorable discharge. Well, I do have a general and an honorable, but I do have my award letter from VA saying I'm receiving benefits. They say, okay, we're going to bypass what the policy says and we're going to accept it based on your VA benefits. And so it just gives them their eligibility, even though their character of discharge doesn't allow. And so it creates eligibility. I'm going to run through this pretty quick. It creates eligibility for state benefits for veterans who were separated with less than honorable characterizations of service due solely to sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression, or actions or statements related to sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression, regardless of characterization of services. And so the next question is, state benefits. This is what Washington State offers. And this isn't necessarily where you are. So check with your state VA if some of these sound interesting, or maybe just to find out what they have to offer. As far as we have reduced fishing and hunting license for disabled veterans that are 30% or greater, our state park passes, disabled veteran 30% or greater, our parks passes, all veterans, reduced public transportation fee, disabled veterans 40% or greater, long-term care exemption, disabled veterans 70% plus. So if you're working and your state has the long-term care option to where they take that out of your check, you're 70% or greater, you can print off your letter out of the e-benefit system showing your percentage, give that to your employer, and now they stop taking that out of your paycheck. And again, I go back to our veterans homes, 70% or greater is free. And so it was just kind of like one of those things to where why do we have that option if we can get into the homes for free? So they kind of put it in line with what the state does. And so you just take that to your employer and they will be able to stop taking that out of your paycheck. Um, Saves a little bit of money. I'm not speaking against it, but again, there's options, and that's the biggest thing is you just want to know your options available. Reduced tuition at public colleges and universities, free license plates for 100% disabled veterans and Gold Star spouses and parents, reduced property taxes, 80% or greater, and it is an income related benefit. So your income would need to be in line as well, not just the 80%. Recording of discharges, and then lastly, the County Assistance Fund, which is short-term financial assistance. Any county, every county within the state, we have 39 counties. You know, you're a veteran, you go in there, you hand them a copy of your DD 214, you let them know you're short on finance, you need some assistance, and you know, you'd go through them for that. And that's again another benefit of a state benefit. So definitely reach out to your state VA, even if it's just that question. Hey, what are my state benefits? What do I get for, my disability percentage? And they will be able to answer that question for you. And again, if there's something that you've heard on here that you say, hey, you know what, that sounds good. Why don't we offer something like that? Or why is that percentage at 70%? You know, why is it that high? That'd be a good question to ask of your people and of your state.
Yeah,
And so,
one thing, if you don't mind me
Mhm.
jumping in there, if Don,
Yep.
before I forget, um, Donnie could be at a meeting. I don't know if he's still in the chat or not. I'll get it from him. Regardless, I'm gonna get it for y'all. I need you to do me a favor. If you're not already, join the Discord. Where what I'm gonna do is gonna get a contact list because Leland has said kept throughout the interview was saying your state VA. So we're gonna try to. I want to get a list so you know who to contact for that specific purpose. But one thing I wanted to say on there was we have a lot of benefits that you're probably not utilizing. I'm probably not utilizing, and that's a very big point. The thing about the state thing, yeah, you like going back just to one aspect, taxes. Like some states are no taxes on your personal property at different percentages. It's all different. Some it doesn't affect, but you might not know that. You don't like, I could give in particular Massachusetts used to be like, and Virginia was like Virginia's 100%, but like Massachusetts is 10%. Where 10% you was getting a deduction on your home and your personal vehicle. And that's huge, like a very, very big deal. And so a lot of people are very interested in that. But this everything else he's been talking about, including your life insurance, including your death and burial, everything that you might not be thinking about is all there. HUD housing, but it varies by state. So I get that a lot of you are like, well, great, that I don't live in Washington, though. Okay, that well, fine, but we're going to get you who you would contact because at that state level, there's more than just going to Veterans Affairs and figuring out a federal solution on disability, chapter 33, 30, 31, 35, all these different things for your GI Bill, your education, and so on and so forth. And that's a main point to what he's saying. You know what I mean? So if you have any questions, that of course you can ask here, and I will continue on after Leland leaves as well. But I will get a list. I will get that list together one way or another.
Right. And that's you knocked it out of the park, and again, the point of this is, this is my agency, this is what I work for. But at the end of the day, no matter what, when I take off this hat, I'm still a veteran. And this is more so just to be able to give you the information, to be able to let you know that there may be something out there to benefit you. Check with your state VA, regardless of what we have to offer in Washington State, is just to let you know that there are benefits out there. From the federal to the state to local to county, there's benefits out there. I'd rather learn about them before I need them than be in a situation to where now, oh man, what do I do? Learn your resources, learn what's available out there, either for yourself, for a loved one, for another veteran. And that's more so of anything else. I'm here for veterans. WDV is going to be here, but at the end of the day, you as veterans, I just want to make sure you know what could possibly be out there for you and to check with your state VA.
100%, dude. That's probably where I lack the most, man. Like I don't, I haven't looked into enough, or pretend I know what's going on and then I ignore it because I'm like, oh, that doesn't apply to me. But it really benefits you you should sit down with somebody, like chat with somebody, give a call to really find out what the deal is and probably check with two people. You know what I mean? Like definitely
Right.
make sure you're getting the right answers. Cause
Yeah.
there's so many more benefits out there besides going to, just going to VA and walking to the help desk or getting Applebee's for free. You know what I mean? Like, bro.
Hey, don't downplay that Applebee's. I look forward to that on Veterans
Yeah.
Day.
Oh, I'm on it. I'm on it. But yeah, it was shit. You know, you said earlier, you know, there was different benefits specifically related around discharge. You know, I had a buddy who came to me. I met through gaming that had a like back in my time. One of the things that I could relate with that was like not really the right way to go about kicking people out was we called it fat camp. That was the name of it back then. All right, but it was like if you didn't make tape, you know what I mean, and weight and height, it didn't matter if you was doing 300 on the PT test. If somebody in you know, and like an officer or somebody had it out for you, you know what I mean, or whatever, like they could have affected your career. And so I had a buddy I met, fellow Army veteran, great guy, and he ended up with like the other honorable, something like that. And he didn't realize like he still had access to VA benefits and he could get an upgrade. And that
Right.
his case was arguable. And so now he's 100% rated too, from all his time. He spent all his time in, he did his full contract, re-upped and everything, and still had that happen during that weird period of time. So that, you know, if you got questions about that, hit me up privately. I don't expect anyone in here to ever you could talk and say what you want, but I don't expect anyone to come in here and say, you know, say your discharge status, medical, or any type of stuff like that. You can hit me up in a DM 100% and we'll get you straight if you have any questions regarding that stuff as well. And yeah, maybe if if you didn't quite get the answer, know the answer, whatever else, hit me up. 100%. Like I said, even if I don't have the answer, we'll get the answer. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to get a state list. We're going to post it in Discord announcements. So anybody who needs that, please feel free to do that as well. I do want to ask anybody in the chats. We are on multiple platforms. You can find us on Twitch. You can find YouTube. You can see it on Twitter. TikTok is kind of up in the air. I don't know. I haven't really posted a lot on there, even though we do have a really good following on there. But those are the three platforms. Look for it mainly on YouTube. Anything like this, there will be highlights on Twitch, but YouTube will have where you can find the actual whole VOD. Does anybody in the chat have questions or comments or any story experience or anything? Throw it in the chat if you want to. If you're just listening, you're like, Justin, shut your mouth so this damn man can speak. I got you. No problem. Of course. But yeah, man, I'd pass it back to you. And I don't know if you had anything else or any
Yeah.
dad advice.
Right. Yeah, geez, I was looking for that from you guys. Uh,
Friday morning. Well, we're
um,
not Friday yet, but the Friday safety briefing.
you
Don't
know,
increase the
I want
population. Don't decrease the population. Stay safe.
I want to go. I want to go out with this. You know, I found myself saying this a couple of times today. Um, the obstacle,
Yeah.
the obstacles that you face, that you go through. In my experience, the obstacle is just that. It's going to be there. And when you get past that obstacle, another one's going to take its place, and another one's going to take its place, and another one's going to take its place. It's not the obstacle, it's your ability and your resolve to be able to get past through it. So I know you guys are going to face some obstacles. I know you're a veteran. You're dealing with these issues. You're dealing with those issues. It's going to be obstacle after obstacle. It's about your resolve and your ability to get through that. That's what it's about. The obstacle is going to be there. What are you willing to do to get through it, to get past it, to get to the other side of it? And so I take that as from being a veteran, a father, a husband, a person of faith. The obstacle is going to be there. What are you going to do to get through it? Didn't stop me then, and it's not going to stop me now. Is it going to stop you? So I leave with that.
It will become an accolade. It will. And like I said, I totally. We didn't talk about anything, about any of this stuff. Like we were just meeting each other before stream, and I had a very similar story. But like, it will become an accolade to you, and I'm sure you agree with what I'm saying. Meaning that like when you overcome it, you will be able to share that upon someone else. And when you start feeling successes every day and building those things over time, one piece at a time, inevitably,
Yeah.
uh, when you make that decision and you overcome that barrier and you put it past you, and even if you might stumble, I stumbled a bunch
Mhm.
along the way, and that wasn't down like a little hill, it was like down the Rocky Mountains, you know what I mean, like a handful of times, you know what I mean, before I finally clicked, stuck, and I got it, you know what I mean, but it will become a life achievement, as terrible and as dark as it seems and that sounds, it will be, because I heard it best, and I don't want to take too much of your time, but like I was watching this guy speak one day at an event, and he said it was like one of the craziest stories I ever heard, but he's like, man, I have so much more respect for someone who's been through it all and overcame it and is in a position than somebody who's never been through anything and just literally kind of had it handed to them, and they've never experienced absolute crushing, defeating, depressing, terrible life experiences. And now I'm paraphrasing, the way that person said it was incredible. I wish I could say it the way they said it, but it was like they trusted the word more. Someone that had been through something that most people have difficulty overcoming. You know what I mean? And I would say that one thing I can say, and one thing that this goes back to somebody who hasn't been in chat in a while, but very proud of them saying, is like, you're a champion. You know what I mean? If you serve this amazing country, you did something that 99% of people won't. And you were in a place in your mind. And if you got through basic training, and if you got like, I can remember just on my way to getting in trouble with the law and not wanting to graduate in high school. And I was just not in a good place, you know what I mean? And I just wanted to graduate so I could tell my mom that I wasn't a loser. But then I was a rock star, and the military showed me things of how to be an incredible human being. And then that turned into a 20-year career. You know what I mean? So look, and I fell from graces after that. So imagine, you know what I mean? Because I had it all. So it will become an accolade. It will become an accomplishment, because when you overcome all that stuff, that's what the military taught you. Don't forget it. You know what I mean? Just because you forgot everything and don't know how to make your bed, the day you start making your bed, or the day you start taking care of your personal hygiene, and you start looking in the mirror and you feel a little bit better, it all adds up, bro. 100%. What up, pup? I love these Q&As. My man, retired Sergeant Major. What's good, dude? I miss you, pup. That's my dude right there. That's my man right there. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I appreciate the closing words, man. It relates so hard. That's why I won't stop yapping about it, because it hits home, bro. Hits home. Here for the knowledge.
Yep, that's all we do.
He's a guy who just got out. So somebody who, speaking of, and it's weird. I get a lot of questions like that recently. It's like dudes that are like just getting out, or like a guy reached me. He's like, I'm about to get out. And I didn't think I would ever see, because I didn't care about that stuff when I was getting out, bro.
Mhm.
I was like you said, I was just like, I'm going to be wherever I'm going to end up being. It's going to be in a different country. So I'll deal with it when I get there. But yeah, I think that's got to be scary, dude. And I ask you, pup, if it is, man, because for 20 years, like, dude, I thought after 5 years, my life is so structured, camaraderie, routine, every morning, formation, PT, chow hall, getting over hangovers, girls. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing. But 20 years, dude, like, that's got to be somewhat intimidating, because you don't know, like, that's got to be scary, man. Almost like institutionalized by working, you know what I mean, that wearing that uniform. Yeah, and Donnie, you're right, dude. He said VA education coming up next week. Let Justin know any other things you guys want. Let him know. But dude, my man here, dude, Leland he just knocked it out of a park.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, thank you for allowing me to be on your platform and just be able to talk about my experience, share a
Absolutely.
little bit about the state BA, and I wish you all well. And again, thank you for what you've done for our country and for what you continue to do each and every day.
Yeah. Pup says to you before you go, sorry, he said, I thank you for these because trying to navigate that transition was complicated. I have learned so much from these. So
Wild
freaking
Cherry
awesome.
85
Cherry, thank you for
removed
the gift
ads
of
for
the
Brick
Donnie.
by Brick Warriors. They have gifted
Yeah.
504
But that's
total.
specifically to you as well. We're really grateful to have you, bro. So, yeah, we'll let you skate out of here, bro. And anybody who has any questions, I'm gonna put the Discord links in the chat. Just hit me up.
All right. Again, thank you all and have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry. And do you have nothing else? You good to go?
Good to go.
All right, bro. Yo, hey, man. Thanks. Awesome. It was awesome meeting you, and thank you again, dude.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Later, broski. Well, what an awesome guy. I know a lot of you specifically tune in for that over any type of gaming or anything else. Donnie just stated as well. Hey, there is a pilot we're going to be running soon. For active duty, 18 to 11 months from discharge, we're going to start a mini trans Discord event. I know a lot of you have kids that are serving that wouldn't listen to you and went in anyways, or cousins or whatever else. Friends, let them know. Yeah, so at me if anything in Discord. And Donnie means that. Like, I literally can't tell you how many times I've reached out to Donnie when I felt really guilty about reaching out to him at like a late time or whatever. The man just replies. So, again, 504 to the channel. Thank you, Cherry, as well. We're going to continue on with the fun. We're going to swap back over to the new Arma Milsim game. But does anybody have any questions? And is there anything you want to talk about before we even hop back over and mix it back up into gaming? Because, like, this is why I do what I do. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, this is what really drives me. Like, I love to play and have fun and talk with everybody about gaming, but like, problem solving is really the basis to it in a nutshell, if that makes sense. And thank you, Pup. I knew where you was going with it, man, because I don't know. I feel like I would just be so intimidated if I had housing straightened out for 20 years and a paycheck and all that stuff, and then just didn't know where the hell I was going after all that. Seems so crazy to me. There's a handful of y'all that have done it. So good on you, bro. That's why I always look up to you guys. I look up to you, Pup. Like, when you guys that have done the 20 years, I'm like, dude, because I remember being like, God, there's still 15 left. I want to do it, but I don't want to do it. You know what I mean? I couldn't have done it. I wasn't going to go anymore. And I got you, Donnie. If you can, Donnie, do me a favor. Send me a link. Maybe you already sent it. Just a state level contact form or contact list for state VA. Probably it is in a link already. I don't know. So Pup says, hey, I am not one of these super heavy hitters. You be interviewing, but use my number anytime. I will do whatever I can to help. No, you all are though. You know what I mean? To some degree, like I hope that hits home. Yeah. I mean, all right, look, I know some of y'all ain't into Arma or whatever else, and I'm not changing the subject or trying to change the subject, but I kept the topo map up here. I'm gonna hop back in here in a minute, but I'm here every day, the rest of the night. I want you to keep this with you. That if today you don't need anything, and a week from now you need any type of veteran related information, please hit me up. So here's the Discords as well. Let me put it in the restream chats. Here's the Discord so we can link up. My network is your network, okay? I have to speed run the latrine real quick. I'm going to put a little music on. We'll hop back in the game. I'm going to stream for a little bit longer. And then go lay some landmines and have some fun in Arma, and you could see what I'm playing. What my new love is. Okay. I will be right back. I'm going to spawn in here. Again, if you know anybody who's a veteran or you are a veteran who needs anything, hit me up. Especially if you had something privately you need to ask, you can DM me. If it says I'm blocked or something, like you have a hard time getting through, just take the, just send me a friend request, like whatever, with a message in it. But you can ping me, you can at me in the Discord. Discord is like the fastest way to get me. You can also hit up my email. So there you go. That's the email for the channel for everybody. You could send that at any time. It's checked twice a day. If you're not a Discord user, I will be right back. Give me a minute. I gotta check on my kiddo real quick, and then we will get after it.